Welcome you again to the Wednesday night Bible class for the Stonecrest Church of Christ. It is a plum picket pleasure that is presented to us each Wednesday evening to be able to come into your homes, your places of abode, and share with you convictions about our Christ that are predicated upon what God has already said in his divine and holy Word of God. Before we begin our presentation tonight, we want to remind you again of our Tri-County area-wide revival that begins July 19th through the 22nd at the Simpson Street Church of Christ here in the city of Atlanta. Area congregations are going to convene on that location in order in a mighty way to preach the gospel of Jesus Christ. Wesley T. Leonard has been invited by our ministers to be the guest evangelist for the week. Michael Craig from Dallas, Texas will be leading the singing. We invite each and every one of you to the Simpson Street Church. Before the program is over, a flyer will be displayed with all of the details and the information, and we would encourage each of you to be in attendance July 19th through July 22nd. We want to return now to a new series that we introduced to you on last week entitled Living in the Cemetery of Regret. This series is predicated upon a section of scripture in Genesis chapter 50, 15 through 21, where the brothers of Joseph, who had placed him in a pit because God had uniquely blessed him with the gift of not only having dreams, but the interpretation of those dreams. Those brothers could not handle Joseph's dream, so they ended up putting him in a pit 22 years later. After having placed him in a pit, sold him to the Midianites. The Midianites sold him to Potiphar. Potiphar's wife would then make a immoral accusation toward him, where he ends up in prison for 2 years. But then after 2 years, he interprets Pharaoh's dreams. Pharaoh so impressed with him that he makes him governor and a vice president in all of the land of Egypt. Those brothers now, after 22 years, they come to Egypt in order to buy grain because famine is in the land. And now the one that they put in the pit, they now have to bow to in the palace. And what I'm suggesting to you is these boys were never able to get beyond their guilt of having placed Joseph in a pit. In fact, by the time we read and come to Genesis chapter 50, their father Jacob, that they lied to 22 years earlier, has now died. And their guilt really goes up to the next level because now they think that Joseph is going to even the score with them, that somehow they believe that he has a grudge against him. Now, I want you to watch this. They think that he has a grudge against them. They think that he wants to punish them. They think that he wants to do harm to them, when for the last 17 years, while living in Goshen, which is in the land of Egypt, Joseph has fed them. Joseph has protected them. Joseph has provided for them. He's given them real estate. Uh, he's given them cover, and they still think that Joseph is out to give them. And from that notion, we're talking to you from this thought, living in the cemetery of regret. I defined my term for you on last week. Let me define it again just so you can remember it. Living in the cemetery of regret is a metaphorical way of describing people who keep dwelling where God has already brought them through. Let me hit pause and then rewind and then hit play again. Living in the cemetery of regret is a metaphorical way of describing people who can't get past their past, of describing people who keep living and dwelling where God has already brought them through. Now, what I began to show you last week is the background. In other words, when you read Genesis chapter 50, you have to understand that the story begins at Genesis chapter 37. Chapter 45, as you see on the screen, is going to give us more details about a story that began at Genesis chapter 37. What I want to suggest to you is that to properly understand Genesis chapter 50, these boys thinking that after the death of their father Jacob, that Joseph is going to even the score. Why do they think that? Why are they still haunted by what happened in Genesis 37? Listen, they've gone to the cemetery and they're building there. Well, please understand something. The cemetery is for burial, not building. It is not a place where you do construction. And too many people that I'm talking to tonight are building and doing construction in the cemeteries of their lives because they are haunted by a past pain, either that they perpetrated or that was perpetrated against them. So let's look at how all of this unfolded to bring us to Genesis chapter 50. I want to take you back again tonight to Genesis chapter 37. You remember on last week, I showed you, as you see on the screen, this graphic, where the family wound began. I suggested to you that Joseph was openly favored by Jacob. Now, please listen to me carefully. You see, the wound, the family drama, the family pain, the family friction began not with Joseph. It didn't even begin with the cruelty of the brothers. It began with favoritism from their father. Oh, teach Bible, Barclay. You see, the friction began not with Joseph, not even with his brothers. It began with favoritism from their father. Watch this. Genesis 37:2. Joseph being 17 years old. I want you to remember that. I want you to remember that this boy is just a teenager. He's just a teenager. He's pasturing the flock with his brothers. He was a boy with the sons of Bilhah and Zilpah, his father's wives. Joseph brought a bad report uh, of them to their fathers. You're going to see these are bad boys. Now, Joseph does not help his situation out in being a tattletale, but somehow we're not told in the story and we're not told in the text exactly what these brothers did. But it was significant enough for Joseph to report back to their father what these boys had done. Now, please understand, Jacob's favoritism toward Joseph, I tell you, let's just read the next verse. Now, Israel, that's Jacob, loved Joseph more than any of his other sons. Because, and we explained this last week, because he was the son of his old age, and he made him a robe of many colors. The emphasis in that verse is the word more. He played favorites with the children because Joseph was the son of his old age by the wife that he loved more than he loved his other wife, who had 7 or 8 kids for him by the name of Leah. But the one that he loved was Rachel. And Rachel is Joseph's mother because Jacob favors this wife more than the other wives. He ends up favoring the offspring of that wife. And the offspring of that wife was 2 boys, Joseph and Benjamin. In point of fact, when Benjamin is born, his birth causes the death of Jacob's favorite wife, Rachel. Rachel. Now, follow the story now. The text says he loved Joseph more than his other sons. It was that unequal affection that was visibly demonstrated toward Joseph that signaled, watch this, a special robe. It signaled honor, it signaled status, and it signaled special treatment. In the culture and the custom of that day, the birthright, that is the right to head the family, the right to own the property, fell in the hands of the firstborn son. In this situation, that would have been Reuben, the oldest child. But here, the knee baby, by the name of Joseph, is being elevated, to the status of the firstborn son. And those other boys could not stomach that. They could not handle that. And I want you to watch this. More love for Joseph meant less love for them. Let me try that again. More love for Joseph meant less love for them. Now, when you combine that with the fact that, number one, dad is paying favors. Number two, this boy has told and tattled on us. Daddy has signaled that this boy is going to head the family, that this boy is going to have the birthright privileges. This boy is going to have preeminence in the family, and we've got to wait in line behind him. And then verse 4 says, but his brothers saw that their father loved him more than all of the other brothers. They hated him and could not speak peaceably to him. So you see how that favoritism has expedited family friction. That you're going to bypass us and the privileges that should rightly come to us, and give it to the younger rather than the older, more mature fellows in the family. Now, you see how all of this now is beginning to play out. But I want you to watch the textual truth I have on the screen for you. We touched on this at the end of the program last week. What Jacob is doing is taking over to the next generation, repeating in the next generation what happened in his generation. If you go back and you read Genesis 25 and verse 28, Jacob's father was named Isaac, and his brother was named Esau, and his mother was named Rebekah. Well, those parents had favorites themselves. Jacob favored the firstborn, Esau. He was a hairy man. He was a hunter. And then Rebekah favored the younger of the sons, and that was Jacob. So favoritism was experienced by Jacob, and he carried it on one more generation. And so instead of breaking the pattern, Jacob repeated the pattern in the next generation with his own sons. Mom and daddy and parents, that's a word in there for us. And here is the word. A parent may love all of the children, but if you're not careful, you can communicate that love unevenly. Let me try that again. A parent may love every child, but if you're not careful, you can communicate that love unevenly. With my own experience, I have two boys. We have two sons, and I love them both dearly. But one son is one that went to work with me when he was a baby. When the oldest boy went off to school, I kept the younger one. He went to work with me. He was with me all the time, and not only that, when he was athletic. I hold his balls a bookworm. He was by himself for 2 years, real academic, real smart, real technical. But the younger of the two, not as much. He's a long way from being stupid. But when it comes to academics, when it comes to uh, te- technical stuff. Uh, the oldest boy, far and away. The youngest boy is very athletic. Now you're getting close to my heart because I played all of the sports in high school, and now he plays all of the sports, and I supported him in all of the sports, and it's not that I didn't support the older one in his sports; he just didn't like sports. So again, me spending more time with him, and then as they got grown, I started playing golf. Well, the younger one plays golf at a real high level. We have golf and vacations. Our oldest son likes bowling. Well, that ball's too heavy for me. I need, I need these little golf balls. He liked them 16-pound uh, bowling balls. And so when we go on vacations, he and I would go out and play golf, and the other one would stay around the hotel. Uh, and and then he wants to go bowling, and um, son, we've been playing golf all day long, and my wife had to check me. She said, "Now, honey, you have to remember, you have two sons, not one." And I understood exactly what she was talking about, and I amended my ways. And so now, when we go on family vacations, we start out with the bowling. Let's get the bowling out of the way. Let's get this big ball out of the way because that's what he loves to do. Well, Reg and I love to play golf. Uh, and so while we love them both equally, sometimes as parents, uh, we communicate that love unevenly because one child uh, has and likes and it does activities that we do. Whereas the other child who has a different set of uh, interests, interests that we're not altogether uh, uh, interested in. And so we have to be careful uh, how we communicate our love to all of our children. When you got 2, 4, 10, 12, whatever it is, you got to be real careful. Well, unfortunately, Jacob has 12 sons, but he communicated unevenly his love for his children. Parents, you got to be careful because, again, one child gets the applause, gets the pictures, gets the praise, gets the privileges, gets the public celebration, while another child always feels like uh, the other one. And a house cannot stay healthy when one child is always wearing the robe and everybody else feels invisible. Woo! Let me say that one again. A house cannot stay healthy when one child is always wearing uh, the multicolored robe and everybody else feels invisible. Parents, be careful not to compare, rank, or publicly reward one person in a way that devalues the others. Look, we learned this growing up, and we started out, real early. What we bought one for Christmas, we bought the other for Christmas. They 2 years apart. They kind of grew up together. Uh, when we're opening Christmas presents, when the oldest child opened up his, the youngest child, Reggie, started rejoicing because he knew if Chris got one, he was going to get one. They're grown fellows now, and we still have to watch it at Christmas that while we try to get each of them what they have requested, We do wish lists in my family. Their wish list. It ain't the band list. Their wish list. And we try to get them what they wish as closely as we can. But we always try to keep it as equally divided as we can because we don't want to show favoritism toward how many times have you heard that? That's a mama's boy. That's a daddy's boy. I know what you're saying, but the reality is you got to be careful. You have to learn how to celebrate distinction without communicating dismissal. You have to learn how to affirm the gifts that each will have without creating divisions. Now, I've said something to the parents. Now, let me say something to the children. Do not allow another person's blessing to become your bitterness. Oh my goodness. Do not allow another brother or sister's blessings become the source of your bitterness. Somebody else receiving a robe does not mean God has forsaken your covering. Oh my goodness. Ooh, I wish I could spend an hour right there. Well, let's move on. Because what I'm saying to you is, as you see on the screen, that unhealed wounds often become inherited ways of living. Here's the truth to remember. Genesis 37:3 teaches that visible favoritism can wound the family, but even human dysfunction cannot derail divine purpose. Old preacher said, let me explain that to you. Even though Joseph was shown favoritism by his father Jacob, which created friction within the family, which created dysfunction in the family, even human dysfunction cannot derail divine purpose. So, the first thing I've said to you is that Joseph was openly favored by Jacob, which was the beginning of the family womb. Now I want to suggest to you number two. Joseph's dreams intensified his brother's hatred. It didn't cause it. It intensified it. You see, his dreams suggested future prominence. And his brothers interpreted them as Joseph claiming authority over them. Genesis 37:5-6. Now Joseph had a dream, and when he told it to his brothers, they hated him even more. He said to them, hear this dream that I dreamed. Now, I want you to watch the screen now. Watch the graphic on the screen. Because it outlines for us the dream that Joseph dreamed. Here it is. This is what he told him. He says, behold, We were binding sheaves in the field. Let me stop there for station identification, uh, because I don't want to use terms that you don't quite understand. A sheaf is a bundle of harvested grain stalks. I mean, it could be wheat, it could be barley, uh, uh, but it was cut from the field and tied together. Now, watch the graphic on the screen. He says, we were out in the field. Watch this. All of us were out in the field. He says, while we were in the field uh, binding sheaves, cutting the stalks and then, tying them off. Uh, he said, my sheaf arose and stood upright. And he says, and behold, your sheaves gathered around it and bowed down to my sheaf. And this is the dream. As you see pictured graphically on the screen, here is Joseph and his sheep standing erect, and his brothers with their sheaves on their knees. And so the brothers got some too. They got attitude because it sounded like to them that you're putting yourself over us. Now, I want you to watch this. Their father had already done that when he gave Joseph the coat of many colors. Now, here is Joseph having dreams that will intensify their hatred that they already have, the jealousy that they already have, the fact that they already feel less than because of what their father had done. And now this boy, this new baby, has the temerity, the unmitigated gall to dream a dream and then tell us in the dream that we would be subservient to him. What he is saying is that my family, and later on he's going to tell the same dream to his mother and his father, or rather to his father and his father's wives. He's saying that the family is going to one day bow down before me. Now, let me just cut across the pasture real quick. When you read Genesis 42 and verse 6, what he dreamed came about just like he said. In Genesis 42:6, the text says, now Joseph was governor over the land. He was the one who sold to all the people of the land. And Joseph's brothers came and bowed themselves before him with their faces to the ground. Just like you see in this graphic, their sheaves are in their hands, their faces are bowed to the ground. Just like Joseph dreamed. Genesis 42 is Joseph having been promoted to the palace. Somebody better hear me right through here. In Genesis 37, before this story is over, before this reading is over, they're going to put him in a pit. They want to kill him. They're going to be talked out of it. But in Genesis 42, watch this. 22 years later, remember, Genesis 37:7, Genesis 37:2 says that Joseph is 17. By the time we get to Genesis 42, 22 years have now passed. And Joseph has been promoted to governor. In fact, he was promoted at the age of 30. I want you to watch this, friends. Before he got to the palace, God sent him to the pit. Let me help me get to this so I can graphically show it to you. The brothers heard the dream as a threat to their position because Joseph is the youngest in the family, or the knee baby. But the dream was actually a preview of God's preservation. It was a preview of things yet to come. The brother that the brothers pushed away would become the instrument that God would use to keep them alive. Oh my goodness. This thing is about to get good up in here, up in here. In the dream, oh, lean in, lean in. In the dream, God showed Joseph the destination, but not the detours. Ooh, B. Say it again, sir. Watch what I have on the screen. In the dream, with the sheaves and the brothers bowing their faces and Joseph being promoted and elevated, God showed Joseph the destination, but not the detours. Ooh, one more time, one more time. The dream showed Joseph the destination. The destination would be governor. The destination would be vice president. The destination would be second in command to only Pharaoh. That's the destination. That's what the dream showed. What the dream did not show are the detours that God would use to get him to the destination. Oh my goodness. Oh, I need to camp out here for a minute or two. Look at your own life. Oh my stars. I mean, watch this. You don't have to go outside the house to figure this one out. Look at your own life. Look at your own marriage. Had God showed you all of the detours and the ditches and the pain that you would go through in order for you to be where you are right now, you'd have never got married. Watch it. You'd have never had children. See, God shows him the destination. Not one time did God show him the pit. Not one time did God show him how his brothers would throw him in a dry pit, not knowing what was in the pit. And the pit caused him pain. The pit caused him pain. And then they profited from his pain by selling him for 20 pieces of silver. And they never knew what happened to him after they sold him to some strangers. And then he will end up being sold to a man by the name of Potiphar, who is captain of the guards for Pharaoh. And the man's wife attempted to rape him and was unsuccessful, and she lied on him. And he went to prison for 2 years for something he did not do. God never showed him that. God never showed him that. God never showed him the pit. God never showed him the prison. God never showed him the false accusation. Because if God shows us all of the stuff that you and I will go through, we quit right now. We quit right now. We throw in the towel right now. Oh no. You see, I tell people all the time, don't be jealous of my glory if you don't know my story. See, we become envious and jealous over the success of other people. See, what we see is the success. What we did not see was the pit, the prison, the pain, the false accusations that it took to get you to where you are right now. You see, for some high school students, you have received by now a letter from the college congratulating you not only on your graduation from high school, but your acceptance to this college or this university. See what you have received. Listen to me carefully, young people. What you have received is an acceptance letter. Oh, listen, put it on your wall. Put it in your book of remembrance. But what that acceptance letter does not tell you or the long hours you're going to have to spend in the library. Our professors, you can't stand. Our professors who are going to tear and strip away your faith and your morality and your understanding of right of the parties that you're going to have to give up. You can't go to all of the parties. You can't go to all of the dances. But watch this. You got your acceptance letter. But what you do not have and what they will not give you is for the next 3 to 4 years, the grinding, the discipline that is going to take for you to graduate at the next level. What I'm saying to you tonight, friends, is simply this. God showed Joseph the destination. He did not show him the detours. Oh, but here's your shout. You will never get to the destination if you don't learn how to navigate the detours. We had some folk in our church who recently got married. God bless you. God bless you. Oh, the honey is thick on the moon. Oh, everything is wonderful. Everything is sweet. You think for the first 6 months, you can eat her up. You can eat him up. And in the next 6 months, you wish you had her. Because things are going to change. When I counsel folk, I tell them, you know what? Because they're coming all big-eyed and bubbly-eyed and all smiles, and I don't try to take it away. I just try to tell them that things are going to change. So in our counseling session, I need to prepare you for marriage, not for a wedding. That's what did you just say? I tell folk who come in for counseling, listen, I don't even need to be at the wedding. I don't have to be at the wedding. I'll only be there if you invite me. And but please understand something. And they're shocked when I tell them, but I mean it. Look, with all due respect, I don't care anything about your wedding. Because if it starts on time, it's not going to last but about 30 minutes, if that long. If it starts on time, I'm not interested in the wedding. A wedding is an event. What I want to prepare you for is to give you some skills to help you to stay married and to be married happily after your wedding. Some people make the whole objective and goal your wedding. No, it's the marriage. And to be married is going to take some skill and it's going to take some discipline. My wife and I have been married 54 years. It ain't been easy, but it has sure been worth it for the last 54 plus years. I've changed. She has changed. We have changed. And 54 years ago, had I seen all of the pain I would cause her, she would cause me, all of the heartache, all of the drama. Had I seen all of that 54 years ago, I would have said, see you. You don't have to go home, but you got to get up and get out of here. See, if God showed you all of that stuff before you got started, if he showed you the ditches, the pain, the agony, the meanness, the lack of forgiveness, the lack of grace, the lack of kindness, had he shown you that, I remember when I was preparing my elders for their eldership, I told him, now, fellas, I can see him right now. I can see Harrell Thomas here right now. He said, y'all better listen right through here. Barnes will tell you, Nixon will tell you that I told. I said, fellas, starting next Sunday, things gonna change. Folk are gonna look at you a whole nother way. But you were their shepherd. What you have to do is you have to shepherd them, whether you like them or whether they like you or not. You are their shepherd. That's for you. And whenever God calls you, God equips you. And these men, I'm so proud of them, that they are serving with efficiency. They are serving with effectiveness because God has equipped them for the role that they do. And the same thing is true of our three deacons right now. Dale Holmes and Marcus Raines and Craig Twace. They're serving effectively because God has given them what they need in order to serve effectively. But that's the glory. You talk to them and they'll tell you the story. All I'm trying to say to you tonight, friend, and I want to put one more graphic on the screen, and this is where I'll start next week. God showed Joseph the destination, not the detours. And on the right side of the screen, I have all of the detours. And I have two things up there. I have a map and I have a GPS. And I'm going to show you next week where the map, you can see your destination. But on the GPS is turn by turn. And God gives you enough information to make a decision at a certain point in time on your journey. He does not give you tomorrow's turn information today. And so God showed Joseph in the dream his destination.